Welcome everybody to The Candle Enthusiast. I am your host, Shane Carlson. And yes, this music is rather I'm crying, it's so depressing. This is Smell It Sunday, a weekly live show where we sit down and we talk about candles. Yeah. Go figure. This is what we do. We sit down, we talk about candles, we talk about the candle industry, but more importantly, we talk about our passion for aromatics, our passion about many different things. Just as a quick reminder, this is Aromatically Speaking, my secondary channel here on YouTube, the new home of all of my candle content. So if you watch me for candle evaluations for these live streams, make sure you subscribe right now, because the main channel, The Candle Enthusiast, will just be the home of all of my travel destination videos, my vlogs, all my upcoming videos. That is, if the world ever goes back to normal. Today, I thought we would do something a little relaxing. We've been doing a lot of unboxings recently, and I've been doing a lot of on-the-spot sensory evaluation, smelling candles, breaking them down, and that's a lot of pressure on me, and I don't respond well to pressure. I'm just kidding, but I thought we would do, because based on just popular requests, you guys are always asking me about my own candle collection, and it's very hard to do a live video that would highlight all of my Yankee candles, even just my Yankee candles. It would just be impossible. It would be like a 24-hour live stream, and I do promise one of these days that I will film somehow an edited video that will highlight not just what we're going to be talking about today, my Halloween collection, but my entire Yankee candle collection as well. But since, you know, the state of the world, we need just something to kick back and relax. I brought out all of my, not all of my, I'm going to say a good portion of my Yankee Candle Halloween candles, accessories, some of them really, really rare. They're prides of my collection, and I'm going to share them all with you in no particular order. And we are going live, so this is a great opportunity to ask any questions that you might have about any of these candles, whether it be my personal opinions or anything as far as what certain candles smelled like, a little bit maybe history on these candles. I'll do my best. I'm not going to proclaim to be a Yankee Candle historian, but I will do my best to answer any and all questions. And also, I should say this before we get started, we're going to be having a little giveaway. I mean, nothing crazy, right? But right here, I have a retired 2017 fragrance, Halloween fragrance from Yankee Candle. This is Haunted Hollow in the Melt Cup. So a lot of you missed your opportunity to get Haunted Hollow. It was only released 1 year. And some of you haven't stocked up, which is understandable. But this is a great way to not only smell it for yourself, but melt it for yourself. So the way we're going to do this giveaway, if you swing over to the Candle Enthusiast Facebook fan group, this is a great time to join. I'm always telling you to join. Request to join. You'll see a post near the top of the feed about this live video, and there I have a Q&A or a questionnaire. So, members of the group ask me questions for the end of these live streams. We have a little Q&A. So list a question. I'm going to pick somebody at random, and someone's going to I was going to say go home with one of these, but I'm going to ship it to you. No one's going to go home with this. That's implying that you're here, and that's kind of creepy. But let me pull you guys up. Like I said, thank you all for joining. How are we all doing? We all holding up? We holding the fort, and are we holding up ourselves during these times? Someone's going to watch this maybe a year or 2 years from now and have no idea what I'm talking about. Let's get to it. Already we're having, well, at least Violet saying, bring back Haunted Hollow. And you wonder what is in store for Yankee Candle Halloween 2020. And we will be talking about that too. And Kyle says, hi, what have I missed? You've missed nothing other than me rambling for a while. And the Raven Holder is amazing, says Lauren. Thank you. We will talk about that. Keep throwing questions at me. If I miss anything and you really want your question answered, don't be afraid to post it a few times. Let's get to this. All right. So since 2016, I have been vlogging my personal experience at the Yankee Candle Village at South Deerfield, Massachusetts for the Halloween preview party. But this was certainly not the first time I ever, in 2016, that was not the first time I ever gone. This event, I've celebrated, whether it's been at South Deerfield or I've celebrated somewhere else in the world, for a really long time. It's always a great experience, and Halloween for me is, like many of you guys, it truly is like the best time of the year. And it's so, I think the reason why we love Halloween and candles, why they go together so well, is just because it's just the perfect accessory. A scented candle, such a perfect accessory for the Halloween season, because when we talk about Halloween, we're talking about nostalgia. We fondly remember all of the Halloweens of our past, and having those aromatic experiences of those memories, being able to have a candle that we burn that will bring back all of those memories from childhood, is like no other. Maybe for the exception of Christmas, but Halloween is certainly my favorite time of the year for Yankee Candles. So let's get to this. We should start out pretty simple. Let's just talk really quick about last year, Halloween 2019. We had a brand new fragrance called Haunted Hayride. Now, you guys, with being kind, right? Don't start trashing candles on me here. But what was everyone's opinion on this candle? Because this photo had leaked quite early, as they usually do, last year and every year. And there was a lot of expectations. And this candle, for me, definitely was not a literal approach, especially since we do see the backside of these horses. That was the butt of many jokes, pun intended. But, I was a fan. I did enjoy this candle. I didn't really burn it that much. And I think the reason is because this was a more than sufficient to me, autumn candle. It's just maybe a little bit, and this is subjective, folks, a little bit disjointed with the photograph. Because when I think of haunted hayrides, I think of, seasonal attractions like haunted houses, the haunted hayride, the fright trails. The things were, you pay up to like $30 now, and you go outside and you see a bunch of people in costumes running about. You're drinking that hot caramel apple cider. If this was more of an amusement, an attraction aroma, I think they really would have pulled at the heartstrings. But without going into depth of these fragrances, I just can't do this today, guys. We have far too many candles. If you only saw what I was looking at right now. But it does have, it is an atmospheric candle, but it does ride in the realm of a perfume or a cologne, or at least some kind of fragrance. It's got a bright bergamot side. It does have a rich musky side. It's a really pretty fragrance, but I think many, maybe not all, would agree with me if we switched a label on that and called it Autumn Sunset. It would pass as the same candle. There wouldn't be any issues. And make sure that I have my eyes on the comments here. I'm going to do my best. I got to get a second monitor for these live streams. Laura says it was good but safe, and that's okay. Beautifully put. I love the way you put that, Laura. That's why I like you. We also had a very strange candle last year. Not strange in its aromatic profile, but strange in that this name, Trick or Treat, has a long and quite confusing history with Yankee Candle. Several different candles have gone by this name. The most popular was the swirl candle of candy corn and buttercream that retired in 2017, I believe. And also last year when this came out, we're kind of in a similar situation for this year. We'll talk about that in a while. I think a lot of people didn't know what to expect. Was this going to be the swirl candle returning, the candy corn, or was this going to be something completely different? And it ended up being something completely different. This is a big, spicy, orangey, but still earthy and outside fragrance to me. Based on your guys' opinion, because this is another one I really didn't have a chance to burn. So I really don't want to be sharing too many of my opinions, because I can share my opinion on cold, but I know a lot of folks were off-put by this one when burning it, but then a lot of you really enjoyed it as well. And I'm wondering if the format had something to do with that as well. Like if you guys preferred the house warmer versus the tumbler, the single wick tumbler. But yeah, coriander, spice, cinnamon, nutmeg. I shouldn't have said coriander first, but I always said vetiver. I know that's not in the fragrance notes, but I'm thinking about Linus coming out of the pumpkin patch and bringing those aromas, transitioning from those outdoor aromas of maybe the pumpkin patch, the wooden stems of the pumpkin patch, the dried hay, the dead grass, the foliage, into the house where it's warm and something's on the oven, a mulled spice with orange zest in it. Bright on cold, but I think this is a very heavy fragrance. I wonder if... No, I was going to say, I wonder if this was a little bit brighter, if it would have been more successful. By brighter, I mean like if it was a little bit more of a little bit more orange, or maybe even some more citrus fruit. But it does have the word is eluding me at the moment. Like a masala, not masala chai. What is masala chai? Maybe that's it. But like a curry dish, like an Indian curry spices. And I think for those who maybe are not acclimated to those kind of exotic spices may have had a problem with this one. I think that's a safe bet. But so yeah, that fragrance to me had no relation to any of the other trick or treats from previous years. But then that's just my opinion. Michelle says, yeah, orange comes to me first. Anybody smell Smarties on that candle? Smarties or Sweet Tarts? If anyone says yes, I'm going to give you a huge high five for a reason I don't want to explain right now. Was there a weird note for anyone else in Trick or Treat? Yeah, so Lauren, I remember you saying specifically that there was a weird note when it was burning, because I think you enjoyed this candle. Trick or Treat has a really sweet scent when it burns, like caramel or something. I can definitely see that. Because what I was just picking up on, and what I didn't mention, was a nuttiness. And usually nuttiness and caramel kind of go hand in hand. There's kind of a like indistinguishable, for me, there was like an indistinguishable like pecan walnut thing. I got a gingerbread like smell. Like molasses and what's the primary? I was just gonna say, what was the primary spice in gingerbread? I'm thinking of the Joe Frogger cookie. It's still ginger in the Joe Frogger cookie, but the Joe Frogger cookie has a massive amount of molasses in it. Yeah, I didn't even say ginger. Of course, that candle has ginger. It tells you how prepared I am to start doing sensory evaluation. All right, I'm gonna kind of have to swing this in a random order here. But we had a highly anticipated 2017 fragrance here, 2018. 2017. I'm just getting the years mixed up. The years are going by way too quick, guys. Sweet Seduction. So this was the year on The Candle Enthusiast, my main channel, where I really went all out to hunt down as many of the Halloween releases before the preview party. And in some cases, I was able to get them, like the Haunted Hollow, a month and change in advance. But I was not able to get this one until the day before the party. The folks at the Yankee Candle Village let me slip out the door with 4 of them. I paid for them. But Sweet Seduction, here's one that another, I don't want to say controversial. I don't think a candle could be controversial, but I think a lot of people, really dug it, loved it. And then, I think when it came back in 2018, people were like, why are you bringing back this one? Bring back something else. To me, this was, let me familiarize myself. I mean, I do feel like the 2 years may have had some variances, and this was the original release. But, it's the candy corn fragrance with the buttercream, so like the Trick or Treat candle, but with a little bit of like a butterscotch thing that is, I almost feel not even worth mentioning, because it took a long time for me to be like, oh yeah, that is there. But when I first smelled this candle, it was it has that vanilla frosting, that happy birthday cupcake, which usually falls into the Yankee Candle buttercream description, and has that candy corn, that classic Yankee Candle candy corn take on the candy, and I enjoyed it. A lot of people said it smelled really boozy, like there was like Irish whiskey in here, or some other form of ingredient that was reminding them of an alcoholic beverage, which would make sense because well, maybe not scent, but I guess it could be a situation because we are looking at a dessert here, some kind of frappe, but this is not a cocktail. But did anybody else get like a bourbon note? Or maybe it was that second year, the 2018, when it returned. That one, Sweet Seduction, I don't know. I just think they should bring back candy corn as the trick-or-treat fragrance. The trick-or-treat swirl candle should return to Yankee Candle, not as a swirl candle, not as the trick-or-treat candle, but as the candy corn fragrance. If they want to rearrange things, eliminate anything, that is my personal opinion. I think that's what they should do, but not having a candy corn fragrance. Even if you're not a candy corn person, or if you're just tired of candy corn, it's like witch's brew. You just gotta have it, you know? Not everyone's a balsam and cedar fan, but could you imagine if Yankee retired balsam and cedar? I love my SP Pumpkin, Spice Pumpkin, Sweet Seduction, and Buttercream Trio. Yes. Yeah, you know, I don't think I have one of those left. I had to butcher one for one of my videos. But that was a nice looking jar. Tumbler. Did anyone else think Sweet Seduction smelled completely different in the tart? I liked it better than the candle. Interesting. I can't say I have a frame of reference there. Nicole says, I love Sweet Seduction. I had a good experience with it. Okay, so great. So nothing too bad. And then Jordan, who's quite the Halloween aficionado, says, that was my take, sort of a boozy scent. I would love to have a conversation about that, Jordan. Okay, let's move on. Thanks for all the comments. I apologize if I have to skip anyone. All right, how do we do this? Let's just try to stay somewhat contemporary, and then we'll get to the older stuff. So here, I know this is not a Halloween candle. This was a 2017, originally a 2017 online exclusive. This was just a great year for Yankee Candle, in my opinion. And this one made a major comeback this past year, in the outlets. And this was much more popular in the UK. And for my UK viewers or international viewers, I'm sorry, but the US label killed in comparison to the full-size label. The high contrast, the high saturation of this label, and the reason why I'm even breaking it out is because how does that not look creepy? How does that not look spooky? I mean, imagine in that mist in the background, the silhouette, a figure just slowly emerging from that fog, and tell me that doesn't spook you out. And with that in mind, it brings a whole different sort of context to this candle. Yeah, I mean, chestnut nuttiness, baking spices that are not too dominating. You know, it's just a little bit sweet, so the cinnamon doesn't smell like a cinnamon stick. It smells like candy, but there's this dried vegetation that I love. I think the best word when I smell this is dry. It smells like everything dead outside. in the fall and autumn, the hay bales, the corn stalks, but still sweet like honey. And I literally mean honey. It's got, you know, this rich, ooey, gooey sweetness to it, which is complementing that cinnamon rather nicely. Remember the honey sticks? They kind of look like pixie sticks, right? Only they're filled with honey, and they would have different flavors. And I remember one, it was cinnamon. I wonder if they ever had cinnamon apple. But flavored honey, that's something you don't see a lot. But that's kind of what this reminds me of. And that definitely, those sticks definitely remind me of the autumn, because that's where I would get those as a child at the farmers markets during the Halloween season. So really fun thing to do about this candle. If you want to do something, see something really interesting. You know, I wish I had better coverage of it, coverage as far as me filming it. But my last year's 2019 Yankee Candle Village Halloween preview party video, I pulled 3 complete strangers, three young, I don't know, college students maybe. I asked them if they wanted to participate in a vlog, and I had them smell a bunch of candles cold, and I kind of had an experiment in my mind, and the outcome really proved what I thought about this candle. So make sure, if you haven't seen that video, definitely check it out. I spent a long time with editing that one and filming that one. And although I didn't post it till well after Halloween, it was certainly a fun video. But Autumn Dusk, don't forget about this one if you're looking for a Yankee Candle Halloween alternative in future years. All right. Why don't I grab a couple at a time here? Okay, let's do one that's a little bit out of the ordinary. One that you might not expect for me to show you right now. And excuse me, I can't remember the collection. That's definitely a question for one of you guys. If you guys can help me out, the collection that this one came out in. This was white chocolate apple. And speaking of alternatives, Yankee Candle alternatives for Halloween, this one was perfect. And I'll explain, but honestly, this is going to be just as hard to find as a retired Halloween candle. I mean, I don't even have, this is one from the outlet, it has a Canadian label. This is the only one I have left. But, you know, the whole bobbing for apple thing, I mean, I know that sounds, you know, we already have Macintosh, we have pumpkin apple, a lot of autumn aromas that include apple. But, you know, tell me one that, other than candy apple, that involves apple and candy. And in this case, it's white chocolate. And it really needs very little explanation. This is the Macintosh fragrance with, you know, you might just say chocolate, and, you know, call it a day. But white chocolate, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think what's most important is that whether it's chocolate or white chocolate, you know, in your mind, at least for me, it pulls at the trigger of the caramel covered apple. It doesn't really smell like caramel, but it just pulls at that memory, that it wants to travel down that part of the brain, and that's what it brings to mind. And it's just such, like all of Yankee Candle's apple fragrances, I really think the apple element in all of their candles are always unique, always authentic. This one is no exception. It's the Macintosh fragrance. It's got the sweetness of the chocolate. I wish they would repackage this or do something to this concept and bring it out for Halloween, because I think a lot of people have a problem with the aggressive fragrances. And when you have choices of spice, 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 cologne, 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 and then witch's brew, you're excluding a lot of people. There's, those three choices, heavy spices, cologne-driven candles, and patchouli candles are, many folks can't get on board with any of those. So you need a guest friendly, a child friendly, just a Halloween pleasant friendly candle. Candy corn is obviously one of them, but then a lot of people have bad associations with candy corn too. So it really excludes a lot of people from Halloween. And I think Yankee should always have not a safe candle, but something that's not too aggressive and bold, so everyone can celebrate Halloween. Laura says, I believe it did come out with cotton candy. Yeah, it was like a boardwalk collection, right? Lauren says, I think it was the summer collection with Windblown, which is one of my Mary Poppins candles, cotton candy, etc. There was a candy apple, but I like that one better. Yeah, the candy apple, I don't have it, and I honestly can't even remember it, but I would imagine it it's pretty self-explanatory. One of my wife's favorite apple candle, intense creamy apple scent. Creamy is a great word, Jordan. Thanks for saying that. Disney Therapy says, do you remember the first candle that started you on your candle journey? That would be a very difficult question, because I think with many people, Yankee Candle, you're introduced to Yankee Candle not through a purchase, but just its existence in the malls, the shopping malls, and in people's houses. But I can say I do remember in high school going, and I think it's safe to say my first candle, Yankee Candle, I purchased for myself was, and I could be wrong, I've tried to figure this out, but I think it was Mango Salsa. That would have been late high school. I mean, that wasn't my first introduction, of course, not to Yankee Candle, but I think the first one I ever purchased. Chris says, Autumn Dusk was released in Europe with a full-size label in 2017. You can easily find it on eBay. Yes, so it was released in the trio. See if I can remember. Autumn Dusk, Moonbeams on Pumpkins, and Honey Crisp Apple Cider. Kind of, it wasn't released in a trio, but that was like the QVC American releases. Thanks for that, Chris. I'm going to start putting these. They're going to be so unorganized on my shelves, and I can't stand that, but I need to dust anyway, so I'm going to start just throwing them back. Now, if I had to make a prediction, I'm going to make a bold prediction now that this candle is going to return for Halloween 2020 for Yankee Candle. I want to be right, and I'm sure a lot of you want me to be right. The ever popular Happy Halloween. So this was, back in the day, which really wasn't that long ago, what we would call a Yankee treasure. So Yankee treasures were, classics, holiday fragrances that would be on the shelves year round. There was a small section in the retail store where you could buy Christmas and Halloween fragrances year round, at least in many Yankee candles. And which was great because this candle really could be obtained if they had it in stock all year round. It was just like Witch's Brew and Candy Corn, it was a staple every year. The label changed, a little bit every year, which, wasn't extreme changes, but, it added to this whole collectability thing. I'm pointing to where it says collector's edition. And, it was the only, I was going to say the only black wax. That's incredibly stupid of me. Witch's Brew, of course, is black, but this was the only full-size jar for many, 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 many years for Halloween Yankee candles. The only one you could get in the 22-ounce jar, and a lot of people just hated it. There was so much hate on this candle. And, of course, now that it's gone, people want it. The prices on eBay is insane. I never would predict years ago that Happy Halloween would be a collector's item to someone because just nobody wanted it. There was just as much hate for black licorice, I found, as there was for patchouli. But that brings up a good point. If you ever smell this candle, if you own this candle, or if you want to know what this smells like, and someone tells you this is just a standard black licorice candle, you're just missing out. This is far more complex and fun than just black licorice. To me, this is like a root beer float with vanilla ice cream. It has, those darker myrrh notes. I'm not saying that is part of the ingredients. In fact, I would almost put money that it's not, but it evokes the aroma of myrrh, so like a resinous sense. But this is a bubbly, fresh, sweet, black licorice that's anything but good and plenty. It's just a very pleasant experience through and through. It does have that cola aroma that I'm always talking about, but just to communicate more clear, let's just call it the root beer float because it has the sarsaparilla notes that really, if this was just a black licorice candle, makes it a very complex black licorice candle. So my prediction is that this will be returned this year as, I can't even keep up with what Yankee Candle's calling it. Is it returning classics? That's what they're calling them now. It's probably not going to have a picture on it. It'll just say Happy Halloween, and with the little fancy designs, we'll lose the cat. But here's the thing. All the cat accessories arguably could be from this character, Sophia. Sophia has been around. She hasn't gone away yet. But Sophia goes back all the way to the 90s, maybe earlier, who knows. So this cat has been with Yankee as a mascot for Halloween for many years. Big recommendation here. Big recommendation here. I'm hesitant to tell you to go purchase one on eBay because I know they will. They have to eventually bring it back, and I think this is the year they're going to do it. Let me check in with you guys. I am waiting impatiently for Coca-Cola scented candle to appear. I mean, Yankee can make a co-op, right? Yeah, I don't think they would ever license with Coca-Cola. I think that would be far out of their realm. Maybe not. Who knows? That would be cool, though, wouldn't it? If they did like a Coca-Cola Christmas thing, how Yankee Candle did the vintage Santa Claus illustrations, paintings, the Merry Christmas fragrance and the the Christmas Eve fragrance. It would be interesting if they had like a Coca-Cola label with the same kind of aesthetic, and it was like some Coca-Cola cocktail or something like that. Jordan says, I'm not big on licorice, but it is it's a much more complex scent and rather a pleasant sweetness. I think that says a lot. If you're not a big black licorice fan, you could still enjoy that candle. Happy Halloween. I think that says something. It's totally divine. It's totally divine. It has a masculine smell and it's strong. I have a few jars. Burn it all the time. Love Midsummer Night. Please buy. Highly recommended. We're going to be talking about Midsummer's Night in just a little bit because it does pop up on Halloween frequently. Let's do this one right here. Again, another non-Halloween candle, but this comes up in conversation all of the time. It's getting a little bit washed out there. It's Moonlight Harvest. And go figure, Kringle has a candle called Harvest Moonlight, or something to that effect. And but this was, I think, a 2008. This one doesn't, I don't know what that is. I sold a lot of these because I had them, and I'm kind of wishing I had not done so because, this is one that a lot of people want to get their hands on. So it really is a beautiful harvest, Yankee Candle harvest type smell. But the big difference here, it's going to have the spice. It's going to have the what they call freshly fallen foliage. It doesn't smell like foliage, but what Yankee calls foliage. That perfumey smell with a major dose of clove. So if clove is your spice, it's not for everybody. It's certainly not for everybody. May not even be for me. But this was a clove heavy candle, and you could see it has this purple eggplant color, just absolutely gorgeous when it's burning. It's just not as opaque as it would look. Man, black pepper, cinnamon, nutmeg. That's a spicy guy right there. It doesn't go in my Halloween section. This goes in my autumn section, but I guess I'm just going to put it here for now. All right, Midsummer's Night. Midsummer's Night, which is a very old Yankee candle. This one goes back to the early 80s, this fragrance. Midsummer's Night. And it does, the reason why I bring it out today is because, they do tend to put it out on the shelves during Halloween, because I think the association of the night, the moon, and it does have this, I'm trying to think of a better word than beautiful, but it has a signature cologne. I think it's safe to say masculine aroma. This is, a perfect bathroom candle for me. Just to keep that, that smell of cologne that's big and powerful, but not too pungent. And I say signature because, it's, I guess I associate it so much whenever I smell this aroma profile. Sometimes I even smell colognes, and I'm like, it smells like Midsummer's Night. But this is my black band. Don't have a year on this guy. So yeah. Now this is interesting, and I bet a lot of you folks had no idea that this candle even existed. I bet. And I dare you to try to find it. I don't dare you. I try to find it. Is my point here. So this was a 2015 limited edition 20-ounce soft wax Midsummer's Night Halloween packaged candle. Oh yes, oh yes. This was released with the original Black Magic in the same format. I believe this one was only, whereas the Black Magic came in 3 different sizes, the Midsummer's Night only came in the 20-ounce. Don't hold me to that. I'm only saying that because I've never seen it before, and in 2015 I did not see this in any store. So it must have been a very limited run, which makes sense. And check out the wax here. This is not the typical, if I had to put money on it, this is not the typical soft wax that Yankee uses for their 2-wick tumblers. I mean, I have no reason to say that other than the performance of these were always insane. Now, I never burned this one, but the Black Magic, in my opinion, and this is probably the only time I'll say this, I preferred the Black Magic in the softer wax tumbler than it ever in the house warmer jar. The label was beautiful, but I might as well show it to you. Black Magic, it was a little bit more smoky, a little bit more incense forward. It wasn't as fruity. It was just more wicked, it just seemed like deeper, darker, and spookier in the night than its counterpart, the re-releases on following years. So my recommendation, if you can find one of these and you can swing the money on eBay, buy one to collect, but I'm very tempted to tell you buy one to burn, because I really, really enjoy these. I have to keep going. I have to keep going and buy more, because I actually do still burn these. This has become kind of like one of my traditional burns on Halloween. I have to burn this one, and man, I'm telling you, as contemporary as Black Magic is, I'm not saying that the other Black Magic in the house warmer is incredibly different. No, I mean, they're close enough. I just prefer the tumbler, the original release. But as contemporary as Black Magic is, I still think it belongs up there as one of the best Halloween fragrances by Yankee Candle. And I think it's just silly. Yes, Yankee, if you're listening. Yes, I think it's silly that you have something as good as this. It was received well, not by everybody. It's, no candle is going to be great for everybody, but it was received well, and you take it away. Why would you take it away? I honestly thought the reason why they got rid of it after 2015, and they brought it back, but it didn't come back for 2016. I thought the reason was because the whole Black Magic maybe was kind of controversial. So that was my guess, but then they bring it back, and obviously that wasn't the case. They weren't worried about the controversy. Midsummer's Night, something I should point out too before we continue, is that this one you'll see floating around on eBay from time to time. This was not a retail fragrance. This was something that you could pick up at Home Goods or Marshall's. It's Midsummer's Night. We could have a discussion about it, whether or not it's different. It's close enough. it's close enough. And although it's a really cool collector's piece, you know, I think there's a good reason why we don't see this very often. I mean, it looks like a name tag, like, "Hi, I'm Fright Night," and we have the white picket fence with a couple of bats. But with that said, that's very powerful stuff. Very powerful. Check in with you guys. How we doing? Doing good? I've got the Black Magic one, and it's wonderful. Hannah says, "My favorite scent is Sicilian lemon. It's so bright." Has everyone seen my evaluation of Sicilian lemon? If we haven't, please watch it. I filmed it in a pretty bad snowstorm. And not only that, I think I got a good video and good audio at the same time. So I was very proud of myself through and through. So many different directions we could go here. So many different directions. Remember, if anyone wants to win this Haunted Hollow Melt Cup, make sure you swing over, request to join the Candle Enthusiast Facebook fan group. Answer those questions. Make sure you answer those questions, and then fill out a question at the post at the top of the stream for the questionnaire at the end of the video, and someone will get that Haunted Hollow Melt Cup. This is an interesting one, and it pertains to 2020. We have Pumpkin Patch, and although this one has a home goods sticker on it, this one was in retail. This was a swirl candle of Harvest. You can't read that, but trust me, Harvest and Spiced Pumpkin. The only difference with this was it didn't have the quadrants. It was like homogenized, right? It was all mixed together, one solid color. But the classic Harvest and Spiced Pumpkin mixed together, I mean, perfect, because how many people actually burn those two candles together? At least back in the day, that was a really, really popular thing to do. I remember the associates at Yankee Candle always saying to do that, really just to sell you the both candles. But they are Yankee Candle classics. I mean, they're always, always, always available. Arguably, on the top 5 most popular or famous Yankee Candle fragrances. But Pumpkin Patch, this candle was around a couple of years as a blend, and it became kind of this home goods thing, like you could pick it up at Home Goods, and I'm like, man, I don't know. I thought, this was like, to me, like a hard candle to find, and it was kind of collectible and exciting, and then I would see it at Home Goods, and I obviously took advantage of that and purchased a few. But a great way to experience both of those classic scents together. Yes, they're autumn fragrances, but they certainly will work on a cold Halloween night. Now, Pumpkin Patch. This year, Yankee Candle has leaked, not purposely, they released or leaked a new fragrance that for 2020 that's going to be called Pumpkin Patch. So we're dealing with yet another recycled name. Or will it be recycled? Will it just be this candle, a swirl of Spiced Pumpkin and Harvest? Well, we don't know until I can hunt one down in an outlet or something. I won't be able to tell you guys for sure. And the leaked photo is really low resolution, so I did something for you guys and everybody on Instagram. I'm going to show you right here. I did a high resolution picture of what this candle is going to look like. I actually found the stock photos and altered them exactly the way you saw in the low resolution photo. And although that label looks a little misplaced and wonky, I mean, this is probably going to be the European release, but that was, what's going on here? That either way, that is exactly the color, the photo that has released. It even has the 1969 stamp on the corner here. So will this be a new fragrance? And if it is a new fragrance, how different can it be? You know, this can't be like Haunted Hayride, where it's going to smell like, you know, they can't take liberties. I mean, on the label, we have a pumpkin patch. It's called pumpkin patch. It's got to smell like pumpkins or pumpkin spice to some capacity. But so far, that is the only leaked candle for 2020. Not the most exciting thing in the world. Cool photo. And if it is spice pumpkin and harvest, and that's you like the idea of the swirl candle, awesome. Awesome, awesome. Let's keep this going. Let's get back to you guys here. Jedi Suisi. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce the name. The Candle Enthusiast fan group is a group. There also is the Candle Enthusiast page on Facebook, so do not get them confused. Love the label. The label is really cool. I have the catalog from Yankee with the pic of that inside. So does that mean that the fundraiser catalog has been released? So Jennifer, is there anything else in that catalog other than a picture of that candle? Black Coconut is another favorite of mine. Has anyone tried New Water Garden Hideaway collection? Better than older version. I tend to burn loose incense around Halloween. I plan on doing that again this year. My cauldron is coming into burn. So excited. Black Sand Beach was definitely good for Halloween for me. Lauren, you always know what to say. I was going to bring out my Black Sand Beach candle. Maybe I can reach it from here. And I'll explain why. Laura has the catalogs from 2012 to 2019. How much do we wish we kept all of the catalogs throughout the years? Those full page spreads, man. Pronounced Susie. Jedi Susie. Oh, okay. So, okay. I can do that. Oh, Jennifer says, no, the original catalog that where it appeared in 2013. So, okay. So, Pumpkin Patch was released in 2013, which makes perfect sense. So, that's when I bought it. What would you love to see Yankee do for Halloween? Something they've never done before. So that's a great question for the Q&A. I'm sure I have a question like that. Right off the bat, what would I like to see them do? God, this is tough. You're putting me on the spot. Knocking things over. I'm going to reach across the way and grab... If I can find it. Where is it? Where is it? Come on now. If my butt is in your face, I apologize. Nope. So Lauren was just talking about Black Sand Beach. This was a 2017 spring summer collection, and man, was that exciting. That, I mean, black wax, black volcanic soils or sand. Well, soil is sand, but with that daisy right there in the middle. Beautiful, beautiful. Although a lot of people hated this because, yes, it had patchouli in it. So this kind of got me thinking. This was kind of, for me, an aquatic take of Witch's Brew, because it does have, man, it's, I'm not going to do an evaluation of this, but the cornucopia of beach flowers, brightness, the synonymous smell that we associate with clean, fresh air for home fragrance. But it's got this twisted, dark side, the patchouli, this deeply thick and rich patchouli that contrasts all of the other floral and citrusy notes. And man, it smells like salt. I mean, it smells like sea salt too. So if I may throw in minerality, that is a word. But so the ongoing joke just on these live streams a long time ago was, you know, if they were going to retire this candle, which they were supposed to, and they didn't, I said, bring it back for Halloween as the Sea Witch. The Sea Witch, like as in a play off of Witch's Brew. And I like this idea so much that when Yankee Candle first had this was like back when they first could print your own labels, I pulled this conceptual sketch. This is not my drawing, guys. I would love to say it is. This is one of the conceptual sketches for Disney's Little Mermaid, a very early version of Ursula and Ariel. Yeah, I just had this label made for this candle, Sea Witch, because why not? I thought it would make for a great Halloween candle. Thank you for bringing that up, Lauren. Burning Leaves for sure. Charlie Brown. That'd be a good Yankee Candle scent. I'll get back to that question of what would be my favorite thing to see Yankee Candle do. All right, let's keep this going. No. All right. So it does pop up in retail, but this is mainly an outlet and bargain store find. There was one called Sinister, as in cinnamon, Sinister. I'm sure we've all seen Bunilla, which has been released in several labels, and then PURR-CHOULI, which I'll show you in a second. But this is Cider Web, beautiful red orange wax. I gotta learn my shades of this color, because that is just that is like Yankee's caramel pecan pie. It has a really nice color. And notice, for those of you who, haven't been burning Yankees for a long time, we used to really geek out about this stuff. Look at the marbling of this wax. I mean, I don't know if that's actually what it is. If it's actually like pools of fragrance oil, but that's what it looks like, doesn't it? Where, you really don't see that marbling anymore, at least not to this extent. But it just looks so juicy inside. And, you're always looking at, back in the day when you would see this, you always look for the candle that had the best marbling on it, thinking that, you're going to hit one of those pockets of fragrance, and it would, be really, really powerful. But Cider Web, great candle. If you can find it, I would pick it up because apple cider, which is essentially what it is, it's the apple cider fragrance that Yankee Candle doesn't make on a regular basis anymore. So if you like the malt spiced apple cider, this is not a cold, non-spiced apple cider. There's a major warmth to this candle. I think this is something that you should pick up for, because you can get this quite cheap, especially if you find them at one of those bargain stores. And then PURR-CHOULI, which is essentially just the, again, repackage of the classic Witch's Brew fragrance. Again, if we want to be really dorky and geeky and talk about variances in the aromatics, I would love to have that conversation with you, but just on a different day. But that really is, it's essentially Witch's Brew with, you know, the cute little PURR-CHOULI and Sophia, the cat. All right. We're starting to get a little bit older now. Well, this one isn't that old. Let's do a couple swirls. This was 2017. Forbidden Apple and Sweet Seduction. There was an earlier version of this the year before, which I'll show you in a second. Yeah, I mean, we haven't talked about Forbidden Apple yet. It's a Granny Smith fragrance, but there's stuff to talk about. But we'll talk about Forbidden Apple when it comes up. Great contrast, you know. I'd rather see other fragrances than swirl candles on Halloween release day. But the swirl candles are always fun, and they don't make them anymore. So if you can get your hands on them, always just fun and, I guess, collectible at this point. This was 2017, but if we went back to 2016, is that right? Am I getting the years right? Yes. We had something that looked almost identical. Much cooler label, though. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say much cooler, but it's a matte finish with skull and crossbones. And we had seen this name before, Toxic Tonic. Toxic Tonic was years prior, was Granny Smith. And what was the other? I just bought it because honestly, I just bought a couple candles. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, so this name had been used prior, Toxic Tonic, but this was Forbidden Apple and Spiced Pumpkin instead of the Sweet Seduction, and was really just equally as unpopular. And in 2016, what happened was, this was when candy corn... Am I getting that wrong? Yeah, that was the year candy corn was retired, but it was sold at Bed Bath & Beyond, and so was this, and so was Witch's Brew. And I remember getting these long before the preview party, which was good for the channel, but kind of upsetting for the, you know, I don't like that candles get out early. You know, I miss the days when you had to wait until the release party to see what the candles were going to be for every given year. But as long as they're going to leak, I figured I might as well share the information. Speaking of that, we have another candle that I just purchased. I was supposed to open the show with this, and I forgot. But this is going to relate to something, a hole in my collection. I'm missing something from my collection, and I think this is what it is. It's either that or it's the Toxic Tonic candle, which I did just buy. What was funny about this candle is I bought it during a live stream. If you go back to like 2 live streams ago, you see me playing around on my phone on eBay, and I got this thing incredibly cheap, $6.99. Don't try to buy your Yankee Candle Halloween collector's items during anywhere near the Halloween season. So there is the Trick or Treat swirl candle, buttercream, candy corn, with one of the 2 years of the hologram labels. Let's see if I can do my best. It's so hard to photograph these or pull an image from online, but you see how she's kind of placing that candy corn on the cake. I mean, not, and her head's moving a little bit. It's cool. But the others of this collection, which was interesting, yeah, so I just never had that one. I never, even when it came out, I never bought it. So now I have the whole trio set. The Witch's Brew, what was cool about this year was it had that, that stop motion animation Coraline aesthetic. I mean, does it not? It has that look. And I'm doing my best to show you. This is much different. She's not moving. There's one angle where it's a close-up and another angle of very much like a Harry Potter magic school. She's got a book, a wand, a hat, and these were 2010. So that would have corresponded still with the popularity of Harry Potter. So, and then the candy corn in this collection, same idea. We have a close-up of this jack-o'-lantern wearing these kind of like these steampunk glasses, and then a wide shot of this character in a pumpkin patch, only instead of pumpkins it's candy corn. And it's worth mentioning that the labels, they're all holographic, of course, but they're really thick stock, and they have these really nice gothic edges to them. So finally, after 10 years, I have completed that trio collection. So let's do another hologram collection. I think for many, this is probably going to be the most nostalgic. This Witch's Brew always has great labels. Some years, maybe we can forget about a couple of years, like 2017, 2018. Some people don't like 2015, but more or less, Witch's Brew always had a very nostalgic, thought-provoking label that definitely sets the tone for Halloween and the candle. And this year, which was 2009, or was this after? No, this was after those 2010s. Yes, and these had series of re-releases that went to bargain stores. So you're going to find these in different years. But they starred the Boney bunch on this year, and I'm telling you, there's a special place in my heart for this holiday. And I do remember, after many years of Witch's Brew not being in my life, having this candle somewhere 2010, 2011, 12. I remember burning it in my apartment in California, and man, it was right before I really started collecting Yankee candles, and this may have been what started this mysterious Witch's Brew in my apartment. I didn't grow up with Witch's Brew, so I had no associations with an aggressive patchouli candle other than Halloween and Yankee Candle. So yeah, so that one, if you were a collector and you're like, which is the one collectible Witch's Brew I should get, you could find one of these, because like I said, whatever the original release was, whether it was 11 or 12, these were printed on other years for bargain stores. So, like, for example, here, Home Goods. Both of these are from Home Goods. This was the candy corn equivalent. So although these are hologram, they're not like the last set where you move them and they change. Again, I think the success here is the contrasting colors, because how good does that slime green look on the orange wax? That's where I think the success of these labels were. I mean, imagine in your mind, you're not a candle enthusiast. Put it out of your mind. Imagine you don't burn candles on a regular basis, and you're walking into, walking around the shopping mall on Halloween, and you see this in a storefront window. Tell me it wouldn't catch your eye, even if you weren't a scented candle lover. I don't think that can be said about a lot of what comes out these days. And I think that is one of the reasons why we're not seeing as popular Halloweens. Because I think Yankee's not... I don't want to pretend like I know more than Yankee Candle Company, but I think they're catering to Yankee Candle fans. And with their new releases, they're not factoring in, hey, we got to make sure that we're creating new fans, a new generation of Yankee Candle lovers. And a label like this will turn somebody into a scented candle fanatic. But a lot of, labels like... a lot of labels like this was this is not gonna turn someone into a scented candle or a candle enthusiast if they're not already burning candles. I'm sorry, that may be a pretty design. That is not gonna catch your attention if you do not burn scented candles on a regular basis. That will. So that's my 2 cents, Yankee, if you're listening. And then the third in that collection was the Trick or Treat. We have the American Gothic couple, Boney Bunch figures on this label. And again, swirl candle of candy corn and buttercream. How am I doing? Am I doing all right? They sell Witch's Brew on eBay, a European site, really expensive for the large jar, as it's rare, 37 pounds or 37 euros, I should say. Yeah, that's interesting. Because I don't think it has been released in a couple years, or maybe just 1 year. I gotta brush up on my UK or European Yankee info. If you caught me a couple of years ago, I knew what was going on. I have no idea what's going on anymore. The swirl hologram, All Hallows Eve, one of my favorites. Right, so that is a part of the collection, and I'm working on that candle. I'm gonna get that candle. It's on eBay right now for $475. Not gonna pay that, but I am gonna get that candle. It was Midnight Jasmine and Evening Air. So 2 non-Halloween, not even 2 autumn fragrances. It was 2 summer, spring fragrances, really summer, blended together, the All Hallows Eve. Thank you for reminding me about that. All right. I'm getting there. Let's just do a couple more haunted trick or treats and Witch's Brew. I'm not going to show you my entire collection of Witch's Brew. I have, other than the first release of Witch's Brew, I have every Witch's Brew, and I have all candy corns, and before it was called candy corn, it was called Trick or Treat. I have all of them other than the original and one more. But this was the second release of Witch's Brew right here. Oh, man, for anyone seeing this for the first time, come on. Yeah, that's nice, right? That's nice. This would have been 1999, the release of this candle. And I believe Lauren has this. I didn't even know it existed until she showed me. She has this in the 22-ounce jar. I've never seen one of those. But beautiful label. And then obviously by the same artist, we have the Trick or Treat candle. Again, this was the candy corn fragrance. At this time, candy corn was known as Trick or Treat. And there she is, Sophia, on the label. She really has been with Yankee a long time. Even the original, not the original, but one of the very first black licorice candles. Actually, it's not that old. I don't know why I'm saying it's that old, but the one that glows in the dark had a version of Sophia on it. Those are quite collectible and hard to get your hands on for a good price. Let's do this. So in 2000, I'm going to have to remind myself, 2013, Yankee Candle released, and again, I'm not going to pull them all out, they released these almost opaque jars. And the first year was just Witch's Brew and candy corn. But the first year, it had a white banner, and it did not have this punch of orange. It was this monochromatic or two-toned candle, equally as pretty. But in 2014, it was obviously a hit. I mean, how nostalgic can that be? And you had a 360-degree label. I think for most, this is like the holy grail of if you can get the trio set from the 2004. And I remember this year very specifically. This was long before the candle, well, 2 years before the Candle Enthusiast. But I remember, oh man, the anticipation. I have photos of my brother and I and my sister-in-law at Yankee Candle Village picking all of these up. And we actually had to go to Stockbridge to get Ghostly Treats because, go figure, the flagship store did not have Ghostly Treats in stock on the preview party day. So yeah, 2014 they re-released it, changed up the color of the banners, give it the tritone, This one really pulls at the heartstrings. The little trick-or-treaters, silhouetted. You know, I think we all somewhere in our mind have an image in our head, whether we're trick-or-treating, seeing our niece or nephew trick-or-treating, or seeing our children trick-or-treating. And we have this image of our head of that very romantic sunset on Halloween night. I think that's supposed to be the moon, but you know what I mean? That witching hour where the sun is setting and you get the beautiful sunset, that golden pink or red sunset. And on Halloween night, you could just hear the scampering of the trick-or-treaters, the laughing. And that's really, really what this is. And it's truly a panoramic photo here. It tells a story. We have all the trick-or-treaters, and they lead right up to this little house where this woman dressed as a witch is handing out the candy. There was a trick-or-treat for this year as well. I'm not going to start bringing out all the trick-or-treats. But the third in this collection, here it is, folks. Ghostly Treats. Is described as an ooey gooey marshmallow confection, and it just had where the candy corn had the black and yellow banner, we have the purple and white. Oh man, I'm telling you, it's so much fun this year. You know, I remember coming home and just so happy to have this collection. I remember taking tons of photos with my phone at the time, and my original was smashed in an earthquake, so I had to replace it right before the Halloween on the same year. But yeah, I think this is I think just the scarcity of this candle was made in really low production. It didn't get to retail stores quickly. It got there like in the second or third shipments. I don't know how many shipments they get. I guess it's every week. But at Yankee Candle, this was not something I had to call 3 or 4 different Yankee Candle storefronts before I could find this on the release day, and they only had 3 in the whole store, and I bought all 3. And who knows if it's true? I can't confirm or deny that this story, but this is a story that's been told to me, and it at least makes a little bit of sense. This original name of this candle was supposed to be Marshmallow Man. Yes, Marshmallow Man. And it was supposed to be kind of a play on the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters. But because of the, intellectual property, it was too close of a call. They had to change the whole aesthetic of this year's collection. And that's why, I'm guessing that's why we see almost the same exact look as the year before. But, if you look in the bottom, see how this is all scuffed up? It came that way. At least the one I had looked the same exact way. It almost looked like these were shipped out before the paint had finished. I remember all 3 that I bought the day of the release had this scuffing on it. I'm not saying the paint literally was wet. I'm just saying maybe there was a quality control problem because it was so close to Halloween. I just don't want to drop anything. We're getting close though. I'm gonna share with you. We're gonna end this off with the oldest Yankee candle. The oldest Yankee candle I have ever seen, can't say the oldest I've ever heard of, but I have something. I've shown it on other lives before, but I know a lot of you guys are new to this channel and the candle enthusiasts. So if you think that the Halloween Black Band is the oldest Yankee candle, the one I'm going to show you is potentially 10 years older. So hang in tight for that. All right. The ones with the orange banner never comes up for sale anywhere, says Jennifer. What a great memory. Oh man, I wasn't collecting then. I know, Michelle, I know. If only I were collecting then. Could you imagine if you had got a case of ghostly treats? The irony is, a couple years later, I was at a Hallmark, just a random Hallmark, and I asked them if they had any old Yankee Candle Halloween fragrances that were still in the back. Because I know if they don't sell the candles, they'll put them in the back and they'll bring them out the next year. You know, they always seem to have seasonal candles that are a couple years old. And I went to this one Hallmark, and guess what they brought out? 2 ghostly treats. We sold those on eBay, raised tons of money for the candle enthusiast, used that money to travel in 2017. Travel for, not me, travel for the candle enthusiast travel videos. Laura says they came to the store like that. The ghostly treats, the bottom of the jar. So there you go. So whether a shipping or in the actual, not manufacturing, but in the factory, or maybe the jars were delivered that way, who knows. Okay, so Black Magic, okay, I do get confused with this. So there were 2 years consecutively that Black Magic was released. It was originally released in 2015, and then 2016, the tumblers didn't return, but the 2016 was also the introduction of the new labels, and I remember this was in my mind. I think enough time has passed where I can say this and not sound like I'm being negative, but this was the first new label I saw that I was that I approved of completely, wholeheartedly, because in 2016, instead of taking brand new photos, what they did was they just cropped the original photos, and it was just heart aching, because not only like is Yankee Candle aesthetically different now, but suddenly all of the Yankee candles that I had, I think you guys probably felt this way, all became like collector's items, and you couldn't burn them. I have candles that are not old. They're just like 2015 with the full-size labels, and I feel like I can't burn them because they're now, you can't purchase the full-size labels again. But anyway, so in 2016, we saw the re-release of Black Magic. Like I said, to me, this is a little bit more friendly, a little less ashy and incense-driven. It still has the incense. You know, I've kind of nicknamed this the Elvira of Yankee candles. It's just, it's sexy. It's definitely Halloween driven. It's not too dark and mysterious and maybe funky like a Haunted Hollow was for a lot of people. Killer label on this one. And then this came back in outlets, kind of like the Autumn Dusk. This was all over outlets last year. So if you didn't have a chance to get one in 2016, or if you had burned yours, you could have purchased it last year, and therefore it's on eBay for a very good price because a lot of people bought them. Right, so here's a trio set. I've never worked harder in my life to track down a candle than the one that I'm about to show you. And I actually have the wrong tumbler. This is a European tumbler. Actually, this was one of the, okay, this was one that I did get though. So in 2017, still one of my most viewed videos. I did a Yankee Candle spoiler alert sneak peek video. There were really low resolution photos available of a mock retail space of the UK that had leaked on the internet. So what I did was I just took painstaking efforts to recreate every little aspect I could in Photoshop of these tumblers. And yeah, it was my first sneak peek Halloween Yankee Candle video. And I was determined to find this one because this was the new candle for this year, the 2017. This is the European jar. You can tell by the font. And of course, the alternate name. Maybe I shouldn't say European, Canadian label. And these were like perfect pillars. Kind of like that Black Magic. They were only, how many ounces? Were they 12 ounces? These were, yes, they were 12 ounces. All had colored wax. And they all had a little excerpt from rather a poem or you know, a short story, a quote. I'm trying to think of what they all were. But inside the label, so as you burn them down, you could see, you know, get this, you know, little tail of har inside the jar, but almost opaque black glass with these aluminum lids with this very sinister pumpkin on there. And the trio was, the Haunted Hollow was the new guy, but this is when we saw a brave switch of the witch becoming really represented by a crow, witch's brew with the purple, well, it was black wax, but purple on the tumbler, and Forbidden Apple coming back on its second year in a row. In 2016, it was released in a tumbler format as well. And yeah, in the green. And check out the wax color there. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And these did come in 13.5 ounce house warmers, medium house warmers as well. I have them. I'm not going to break them out, but this is a good time for me to talk about Forbidden Apple. Actually, it's during the Q&A that I'll talk about that, because I know somebody asked the difference between Forbidden Apple and Granny Smith, the Granny Smith candle. Okay, so this one real quick. Why not? This was Ghostly Treats. This came out the year after Ghostly Treats came out. So if you're really desperate to get Ghostly Treats, I know right now there's 2 of these on eBay. There's like an auction for 2 of these for not a reasonable price, but like an affordable price. If you really, really, really want to get a whiff of Ghostly Treats and have it in actual burning form. And what's great of this trio is that Ghostly Treats is right on top. So you actually can burn Ghostly Treats for a good price. This was a trio of Ghostly Treats, Candy Corn, Happy Halloween, which is a pretty awesome trio. Alright, we'll talk about Forbidden Apple. Alright, so let's do this oldest Yankee candle ever. We're not going to be able to get to all the things I thought we were going to be able to get to today, unfortunately. But because we do have to get to the question and do this, the questionnaire and do this giveaway. I got my Black Magic last year in the outlet store in Alabama. Yeah, that's where they were. They were all over the place. Bring back the full-size labels. I think that's sadly not going to happen. However, they're not, obviously not against changing the labels. You know, how many times they've released candles in different shapes, aspect ratios. Just looking over the chat area here. These jars were so fun with the sayings as it melted down. Just got haunted hollow the same year. The same year the village in Deerfield had a haunted house you could walk through. Yes, it was really fun. You know, usually Yankee Candle and Deerfield, there's one room that they really designate for the showroom for Halloween. But Lauren's right. They switched it and they put it into what was then the Chandler Cafe. And just check out my YouTube video, 2017 preview party, to see that haunted house. I actually got to go in the day before and talk with the folks who were setting it up. It was so much fun. So much fun. Always a good time up there. All right, so let me set this up. Many of you probably think this right here is one of the oldest Yankee candles, and it certainly is. This is probably the most collectible of any Yankee Candle Halloween fragrance. This was somewhere in the vicinity of 1994, 1995. It was the original Black Band house warmer jar Halloween candle. Black, simply called Halloween, but no one has been able to tell me what this was. It most certainly probably is just some form of witch's brew, but you know, I'm holding out in my heart that maybe it's not, because everyone I've talked to who's owned this, and unfortunately it's only been through like emails and stuff, they've never been able to describe it. So this is one that will sell for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Last one was that popped up on eBay. It was half empty, sold for $237 on eBay. But one that is just as old and does not get any attention is the Trick or Treat. This would have been the same year. I think it's obvious to tell. And, you know, this would have been obviously a candy corn or something that I'm about to show you now, an earlier version of a candy corn fragrance. And I might as well show you this right here. This was the original release of Witch's Brew in the Apothecary House Warmer Jar, 1998. This is not in my collection, and I so wish it was. And many things about this candle make me believe that it wasn't 1998. If you look at the bottom there where it says House Warmer Candle, throughout the years of Yankee Candle, this formatting changed significantly, and it's kind of a tip of how you can age some of these candles. So although I was told that the original year was 1998, I'm thinking Witch's Brew actually did pop up somewhere with this original Halloween candle, because you see the formatting is exactly the same on the bottom, House Warmer Candle. So that would have, like I said, 1994, 1995. For those of you guys who don't know, Yankee Candle used to make pillar candles. They did up into the 90s. I'm not sure. Maybe Laura can tell us when they finally threw in the towel. People always ask me, why doesn't Yankee Candle make pillar candles? Well, they used to. In fact, that's really where it all began with the taper candles. But back in the 80s, in the early 90s, you could find all of your fragrances in actual hunks of wax, just like this. And this is the oldest Yankee. And if anyone has even just a picture of a candle, a Halloween Yankee candle that's older than this, I would be happy to see it. But this is going to, based on the label, I can kind of deduce that this is like somewhere between 86 and 88. You know, also this had the ripples, or the ruffles, whatever you want to call them. This went away into the 90s. They just became smooth wax on the outside. This is sealed. And again, the oldest Halloween Yankee candle I've ever seen, and I just happen to own it. And I'm very proud that I do. You can see that it does have a little bit of this gradient color, like you would imagine, somewhat of a candy corn. But this candle is called Halloween Candy. And those of you who've never seen these old school Yankee labels, oh yeah, really back early in the day, they were so old school that they would actually color each little symbol by hand with a colored pencil. Not this. These were printed. But in the early days of Yankee Candle, and I have one, I'll show you one day, where the labels individually were hand colored with colored pencils. And these pillars, this was definitely a Michael Kittredge doing here. They all had these really fun, somewhat New England historical little nugget of information on the candles. So you're probably wondering what this smells like. Is it a candy corn? It's not just a candy corn fragrance. I mean, I would love to tell you this is incredibly strong. It is not. But it does smell like honey and perhaps candy corn in the mix. Nothing fruity. Some vanilla. There's not even a hole to really peek my nose in there. I can't believe I scored this in such good condition. Yeah, I mean, there is no hole. But, well, that's where it is. There's no way you can smell through that. There is a tiny little hole. Can we call it candy corn and call it a day? I mean, candy corn's right there. But Halloween Candy, which sounds like a simple name, but I kind of like it. I kind of like it. Halloween Candy. Why don't they bring back that name? Leave Trick or Treat alone. Pumpkin Patch alone. Bring back Halloween Candy. It would be a big hit with the kids. So there it is. 3x6 paraffin candle by Yankee Candle. This is a Mike Kittredge product. Hi Lisa, how you doing? She says, hi Shane, hope you're well. I am doing well, thank you. Not licorice, not licorice. Out of Glass Pillars, scented in 2005, 2007. Then they cut back in sizes. It's hard for me to follow the conversations, but I'm sure you guys are having good conversations. I have a catalog from 1994. Oh, it's Charles. I have a catalog from 1994 that shows the same style artwork on some of their pillars. That's the beauty. Great find. Yes. Did they have the ripples, though, Charles? Because that is the huge giveaway and takeaway from dating this style candle. And let's see. Okay, so I was gonna do some accessories, but to be honest, nothing's groundbreaking here. I only picked a few of my accessories out. I got this guy right here behind me, which was from 2016. It was a big price at the time, but oh man, am I so look at this. I have a huge, massive head. That should tell you how big this thing is. This beautiful crackled mosaic, and should show these. This was a 2015. Bought this in California, and then a shade, a purple shade, came out year before. Yeah, maybe a year before. It was really the same aesthetic with the witch. I like this a lot. Scratch really easily. The paint comes off. So that always kind of bugs me. And then what else do I got right here? I'm just going to leave all that over there. I'm sure it's stuff that you've seen before, but this was a cool one. This was 2017. This was not a candle accessory, nor was it made by Yankee Candle. But this was before the whole yoga skeleton thing was really becoming popular. And when I looked at this, I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Like, I was determined. First of all, I didn't know what I was looking at. When I found this, which was at Pier 1, this was a product that Pier 1 carried, I didn't know what the skeleton was doing. I didn't know he was doing yoga. But I quickly thought, you know, if you take a candle and just put it right there in his lap, I'm like, dang, it doesn't work. You know, the big candle. But if you take the medium size house warmer, which the Halloween candles typically used to come in, it's never going to be a perfect fit. What I do is I put down a square tray accessory into his hands, and just holds that candle. And no, the flame will never get hot enough where it's going to do any damage, melt this guy's face. This guy's really sturdy. And if you're a Bath and Body Works person, I got good news for you. Can't reach it. I don't need to show you. If you're a Bath and Body Works person, he holds a Bath and Body Works candle a whole lot easier. It fits into his forearms. Nice. So this was kind of pricey. I mean, it was Pier 1. I think $30. I never showed it in a live, and a bunch of folks went out and bought them. Let's get to the Q&A. I want to thank everybody. We're not done yet, but I want to thank everybody for celebrating a little bit of Halloween in April with me. I think a lot of us are cooped up at home, and I think what the result has had for me is really, you know, kind of missing Christmas, missing Halloween. Something about being home this time of year instead of being outside has had that effect on me. Has it done the same to you? All right, Q&A. Woo! A lot of comments here. If we skip anybody, I'll get to you next week. I should take a sip of water. I just lost the gel on that light. Nightmare for Christmas. Oh yeah. All right, let's do this. I love Halloween and want to know, what is your favorite Yankee Candle Halloween accessory that you have purchased? Mine is the Witch's Boots jar holder from 2015, which I have right there. But I have a folding table. I can't reach it. I hope it's okay. No, I'm going to get it because it had a really cool accessory that that came with it that year. Well, it didn't come with it, but you could add to it. So let's see. Let me switch the camera. It's the second time I put my butt in your face today, guys. I apologize. So these were the original boots. They came back. They were pulled out of the same mold on another year, and then there was the baddie boots on a different year. I'm never going to be able to remember, but I remember buying these at the Yankee Candle Village. And when I asked the associate if they had any more, she's like, "That's the last one we have." So they did sell out on opening day. But this little top hat, how cool is this thing? Sorry to be getting dorky here, but I don't use these toppers because, yeah, I mean, I don't want to expose my wax to oxygen. But if you're just using this for decorative purposes, I suppose you could put an empty jar in there or a candle that you don't want. And so that was kind of the full look. That's kind of cool, right? I'm not a big accessory person, but those boots kind of look real, don't they? Yeah. It's a little spider. And storage. I'm all about storage. I hate storing accessories. Kind of goes right in there. All right. So I didn't tell you what was my favorite. Can I say that's my favorite? That's my favorite. Thank you for the question, Amanda. Yeah, I would say that's not even a lie. I love those boots. Okay, so I knew this question would come up. If you could invent a new Halloween fragrance, what would it be? I'm guessing this is a Yankee Candle, right? I mean, I can come up with a lot of things, but you got to think it's got to fit into the world of Yankee Candle. You know, you're never going to believe me when I say this, but if you ask Doug from Spooky Villages, he'll confirm this. Both Doug and I talked about why doesn't Yankee Candle do a candle called Haunted Hayride? This was before Haunted Hayride was released. It was a year before, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe even 2 years before. Because Doug and I both enjoy haunted attractions, haunted houses, the freight trails, the stuff that I was talking about before. And so with that concept in mind, like a haunted hayride or a haunted house, my concept would be around an amusement outside at night, Halloween, right? So think about the concession stands, everything from the hot caramel apple cider to the apple cider donuts, the funnel cakes, but that extra experience of being cold and how the aroma is just a little bit different when it's cold. Also the outdoors of these hay rides, the hay bales, the corn mazes, so the corn stalks. That I don't know if that's a fragrance for you, but that's a concept. That I would love to take that concept, a haunted attraction or a haunt, and turn it into a candle, because it was very, very big part of my childhood. Went to many different haunted houses. My brother worked in the haunted house industry for many years, and in Salem, Massachusetts, among other places. So that would be my concept. Do you remember the Yankee Candle Moonlight Harvest? Yes, I brought that out today, Jordan, for you. Do you remember the Moonlight Harvest from many years ago? I found that to be a perfect autumnal fragrance. Do you know the scent notes or a similar candle that I can purchase? Well, Kringle Candle has one called Harvest Moonlight. It doesn't have that clove heavy thing that Yankee's version has. But everything Kringle makes is amazing. It comes, it's in the it's not a Kringle candle, it's the country candle subsidiary that they have. And I'm trying to think if that would be a good. I would look into that one. Read the fragrance notes. If it's a spicy harvest forward fragrance, I would definitely recommend that one. But and if you don't mind going a little bit sweeter, Moonbeams on Pumpkin. Seriously, it's toned down on the spice, but it has that kind of the same, it follows the same principles. It's more bakery, and it doesn't have the power of the spice. So if you burned Moonbeams on Pumpkins with like spiced pumpkin, you'd probably get the same effect minus the clove. If I come up with a better answer, Jordan, I'll certainly let you know. Wendy says, I wish they would bring back Yankees. Happy Halloween. So we talked about that too today. I burned all of mine. Is there any chance it would come back, or do you know of a similar one? So I made my prediction about it coming back this year, Wendy, but Colonial Candle, and I did a review for Colonial Candle a couple of years back on a candle that they produce called Graveyard Fog. It's a great candle. Is it exactly the same as Happy Halloween? By no means, no. But it's a really good black licorice candle that's still sweet and, has a little bit of that sarsaparilla root beer thing. And I think if it's on the site, I think they have it on the site all year round. If it's still available in stock, it might even be on sale. So I do recommend that candle. But just check out my video, Colonial Candle 2018, on the main channel, The Candle Enthusiast. Holly says, Halloween is one of the best times of the year for me to buy candles. I look forward to your live today. Not a question, but thank you very much, Holly. Lauren, would you rather be a resident of Halloween Town or Christmas Town in the Nightmare Before Christmas, and why? That's a great question. That is a really good question. That's a really hard question. So Nightmare Before Christmas, Jack Skellington, the Pumpkin King, Halloween Town. Would you rather live in that world or in Christmas Town? Which is, to me, was always very much inspired by like Whoville, the Grinch. I'm gonna say Christmas Town. I for you Halloween fanatics, I'm a Halloween fanatic, but I do still put Christmas first before Halloween, and I love the snow. I love snow. I love Christmas. There's a part of me who wants to just open up a Christmas store. One of those Christmas stores that's open like all year round. I think I could do that. I don't think I would get tired of Christmas ever. So I think I'd be mistaken if I chose Halloween Town. But that would be sad because I love the world of Halloween Town. Even when I watched Nightmare Before Christmas today, my imagination still suspends, and I look at it not as a miniature but as a real place. Okay, Laura, so nice of you. I think she's referring to the giveaway. I'm a huge Halloween candle nut, and I love Yankees, from their designs to their scents. I love that they do Halloween parties. Do they ever do Christmas parties in the stores? I think she's maybe, let's say like the village, or is it just Halloween? So she's asking if they have the Halloween preview party in South Deerfield, do they have a Christmas preview party? Well, they don't have a Christmas preview party, but they do the arrival of Santa Claus by helicopter. This is a very historic thing. It goes all the way back to Michael Kittredge in the 80s, 87. I'm throwing out a number. I really don't know. And then they do the lighting of the Christmas tree, which is, as far as I know, they did it from day one when they opened up the village in 1983. And long story short, anybody who's been to the events multiple times will tell you that the lighting of the Christmas tree is the real party to go to. Even though Santa on the helicopter sounds so exciting, they've sold me on this lighting of the Christmas tree. And when I go this year, it really will be the first year I've ever gone to this lighting of the Christmas tree. There's more to her question, though. Another question. What are your favorite Disney-themed candles, brand or scent? I like Spireside, formerly Anthology Candles. Spireside works with a really great artist, Jeff Granitas, I believe his name is. And there are these really great wraparound limited edition labels of artwork that he's done that's inspired by Disney films. And their candles are really, really pretty, and they're not just novelty. They're solid candles. But I do want to mention a good friend of mine and a solid candle maker. Doesn't just do Disney, but Scent Pop Candle Company. Melissa of Scent Pop Candle Company. Everything I've ever burned and smelled of hers has been amazing. She's on Etsy. Make sure you look her up and follow her on Instagram. And Laura's sharing a picture of a candle called 100 Acre Wood by candle company Main Street Melts Candle Company. So I'm guessing this is inspired by Disney, Main Street, and 100 Acre Woods, Winnie the Pooh. That's really pretty. Do you say anything about here? It's a nice find. Let me know how that is, Laura. I don't think you mentioned it here. I would love to know how that is. And I haven't heard of that company. Last question. Does it really matter how you blow out a candle? Some say you have to dip the wick in the wax. Some say you can't blow on it. Some say you have to use a candle tool like a snuffer. Any tips? Well, it does matter how you blow out a candle. If you... just don't do it. Just don't do this. I mean, I know we've all are guilty of it at some point. The candle's burning, and you just put the lid on. That smoke will end up tainting. The candle will burn fine and smell fine. The problem with doing that is when you open up the candle and smell it, it's gonna smell like smoke. So don't do that. Because to me, I don't burn candles in one shot. I will burn a candle, put it on my shelf, and I might not go back to it for another year. So I don't want the cold aromatic profile to be altered or tainted by smoke. And the problem with blowing out the candle, there's only one problem, I see. You blow it out, and then now your living space doesn't smell like the beautiful candle you're just burning. It smells like extinguished cotton or a wick. And that's kind of annoying, right? Because some candles have a hang time where the aroma will sit in your space for a long time. So you don't really want to taint that smell with extinguished wicks. So yes, I think the best way of burning out a candle, I've never used a snuffer before. That would be interesting because I like using accessories for candle burning. But just take your wick trimmer, right? And just take the wick and dip it down into the wax, let it extinguish, and then pull it back up and make sure it's nice and center. This way you get no smoke, there's no taint. The wick is coated with a nice little fresh coating of wax, so it'll fuel up and light nicely the next time you light it. I can't think of a better way to do it. you know, Bath and Body Works, you can kind of just knock it and the wax will kind of just pool over all of the wicks. But that's my recommendation. And so thank you for all the questions, Laura. Chris says, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Yankee Candle's Forbidden Apple versus Granny Smith. So here's Granny Smith. I saw this question and I knew I was going to have to address it. It's, you know, it's hard. I would love to say they're the same thing and call it a day, but they're not. And Yankee Candle obviously describes them as not being the same. I don't have the Forbidden Apple fragrance notes, but there's something like oak. They're actually adding oak into the mix, and I just don't get it. You know, I mean, I can see there being a wooden component. I've always talked about the green apple and even Macintosh having a wooden component, but not like an oak barrel. You know, wooden in like when you're eating the apple core and you're left with the stem, right? How it has that, you know, the little stem, the little wooden quality. Like that's there. I mean, that's part of the authenticity. So that's in Forbidden Apple. But for, you know, Granny Smith is really more of a tart, Jolly Rancher green apple smell. Here's the thing to keep in mind. Granny Smith goes back a long time. So, you know, I don't know if there has been variances throughout the years. I would love to say I knew enough. I just never really paid attention that hard. But smelling these right now, this, you know, the Granny Smith does have more of the Jolly Rancher. I'm nervous to say artificial because if you smell this one first, the Granny Smith, you're not going to think it's artificial. But then when you smell Forbidden Apple, you're like, whoa, that's actually way more authentic. So if you like imagine the Forbidden Apple being spritzed with lemon juice and maybe some malic acid, citric acid, and some sugar to give it a candy side. Like a green apple candy shelled Granny Smith apple. Like a Granny Smith candy apple that's candied with a green apple candy. Jolly Rancher. I think that's the best way I can describe it. But as far as how Yankee describes Forbidden Apple as being this like, they throw vanilla. I think vanilla and oak are the two ones that I can remember. Yeah, I mean vanilla for sure. I mean vanilla is just a way of, I mean really just, you know, is always just going to come off as making something more sweet. But the oak, I do have a problem with that. To me, it's more of like this idea of a stem, because I can't even like get on board with the idea of an apple crate. So if you want more sweet, go here. If you want more tart, go here, Granny Smith. Great question, but one that I have to say, like, I'm always a little bit afraid to talk about. Why doesn't Kringle do a preview party the same time? Says Michelle. That would be, oh, could you imagine if Kringle Candle announced that they were having a Halloween preview party on the same weekend, same day as Yankee Candle. Here's the thing. And I am speculating here, and I got to be careful what I say now because Michael Kittredge III did pop up on one of my lives one time. So I got to pretend that's always a possibility now. But I have nothing but nice things, of course, to say about Kringle Candle and the Kittredge family. So if you guys don't know, the CEO and president of Kringle Candle, Michael Kittredge III, his father, Michael Kittredge II was the founder of Yankee Candle, and so there's always been this kind of, you can tell, like, the original Kittredge family recipe, right? Like they're trying to portray that we are the real Yankee Candle, or what Yankee Candle used to be, and it's very much the truth. So, but I think a lot of people think that there's like this strong competitive nature between the two companies. And I don't think so. I think, the Kittredge family really is proud of Yankee Candle, and I don't think they look back at what the past of Yankee Candle, or even what Yankee Candle is doing now today. I'm speculating, but I don't think they look back in anger in any way. I just think that they kind of want the recognition that they deserve. So there's that. However, I've noticed that there's a very friendly relationship between Yankee Candle Village, again, essentially the child of Michael Kittredge Sr. And so, it's different when you talk about Kringle competing with Yankee Candle and Kringle competing with Yankee Candle Village. I think they wouldn't do that. I think they have a really, special place in their heart for the Yankee Candle Village, because it's essentially was Junior's. It was his father's home. It was the Yankee Candle mansion, so to speak. Again, speculating. I don't think they would do that. However, should Kringle Candle do a Halloween party? Yeah, I think they definitely should. I'd be there. But keep in mind that last year was the first time they had Halloween options since 2014. So, and they just put an addition on to the headquarters. So maybe we will see a Kringle Candle Halloween preview party this year. Good point. Something I actually didn't even think about. But and Lauren's saying here in the comments, they do a great display. Yeah, they always, one of the first rooms off to the left when you walk in, they have a great display room for Halloween, even on the years when they didn't have Halloween candles. Nikki from Washington Wicks. Oh, I can't wait to watch this today. Halloween candles from any candle company is always wonderful to see. Not a question, but thank you very much, Nikki. And here's me going live at 4 p.m. And Charles saying, I started watching and then realized 25 minutes it wasn't even live. It wasn't even a live one, but another one from the past. Oh, Charles, that's horrible. Yeah, I've done one like this before, but it was probably more than a year ago. So that's not a question either. But so there it is. So let me pick someone. Charles, since I know that you wanted to. I know you reached out before and said, could you move it till 5? And I couldn't do that. I know you're a big Yankee Candle collector. You missed out on the live. You were watching the wrong video. I think it's fair that Charles gets this Haunted Hollow melt cup. If you're in the chat room, let me know, Charles. Charles is here, right? So Charles, this is what you're going to do. Haunted Hollow, I'm going to send it to you. So what you do is just send me a quick email, candleenthusiast@yahoo.com. Just candleenthusiast@yahoo.com. Just send me a message. Say, hey, it's Charles. I won the Haunted Hollow cup. And then from there, I'll get back to you, and we'll arrange a way where I can ship that to you in the near future. But we'll be doing more of these giveaways, everybody. Congratulations to Charles, but I just want to make sure that even if it's something small, that we're doing little giveaways, just more incentives for folks to participate, and just share the love, spread the love. So I'm sorry we didn't get to the accessories, But I have a lot of cleaning up to do, and my day's not over yet. So I want to thank everyone for joining in. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button before we all disappear. That really helps me out. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. And if by chance you're subscribed here, but not the Candle Enthusiast, the main channel, make sure you go over there and subscribe to the main channel. I haven't posted in a long time, but I'm working on like consecutively four different videos for the main channel right now. Filming a few, and then I'm editing a bunch. So there's going to be a lot of new material on the Candle Enthusiast channel. And although I love sitting down with these lives and talking to you guys, really my heart, when it comes to YouTube, my heart is producing videos for you guys. Filming videos, editing them, creating vicarious experiences of different places, attractions, anything that's fun and exciting, a little escape from your day. That's always that's my aspiration here on YouTube, to be able to edit something, create a virtual experience. So I just want to thank everyone for joining me today. Letting me share a little bit of my collection with you guys. Obviously, a big passion of mine, the Halloween. And you guys voted for Halloween. I gave on the Facebook group, I listed a whole different options, and by far everyone wanted to see the Halloween section of my candles. I will do an edited video that will highlight everything that I have at some point, but I think we did enough for today. So I want to just say another thing as far as, where we are in current day. It's still very scary. I hope that my jubilance sometimes doesn't come off as me negating the seriousness of what's going on in the world. It's very, very alarming and very scary. And I think maybe you experience this. Sometimes you go on the internet and you get a little nugget of the news, or you turn on the TV and you get a little nugget, and you're like, things are getting better. But then you hear about the personal stories of people that are somehow connected to you and in your life, and it kind of extinguishes that sense of, oh, things are getting better. It's still very, very much a concerning situation, and the only thing I can say is that for me, what's always worked is focusing on, in the morning, things that I am grateful for. Gratitude. What am I grateful for? I try to, when I get up in the morning, I list all of the things I am happy about, in hopes that waking up and starting my day with all of these wonderful thoughts will kind of cushion the blow of all of the negative things that are pounded on us all day long. Negative, 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 negative. But try that. If there's any words of wisdom I can give in this moment, especially if things are really troubling for you, is just to start your day, get your cup of coffee, and just in your head, just go over all of those things that you're truly grateful for. Gratitude. It really is, it can kill misery. It can extinguish misery, and it'll help combat all of the negativity, all the cynicism that we see, and darkness that we see in life. So I always want to try to leave off on a positive message, because it's really what the Candle Enthusiast is all about, is making sure that you're living enthusiastically and always supporting positivity. Because let's face it, in the world of candles, in the world of nostalgia, and the world of just seeking anything that makes us happy and joyous, there's no room for cynicism or negativity. So always keep it positive, and that's what you guys have always done. I want to thank you, like I always do, for sharing your positivity and kindness with me from the very beginning, going on 4 years now. It's just been an absolute pleasure, and I don't hesitate for a second to say that you guys have enhanced my life to such a grand capacity. So thank you dearly. All I can always ever do is just repeat myself. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I feel like a broken record, right? Until I find a different way of saying thank you. Just please accept my thank you as sincerely and as honestly as I can. So I will be talking to you folks soon. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and stay productive, stay positive, live enthusiastically, and really during this time, focus on the ones closest to you, especially yourself. This is a great time, what we're going through, to really focus on yourself, and do some reflecting, do some soul searching, and, you know, perhaps pick up a hobby or a skill that you don't already obtain. Work on it. I'm working on meditation and stress management because the doctor says I need to control my stress. Go figure. That's what I'm working on. So with that said, everyone, thank you so much for joining, and I will be seeing you very soon. But until then, be good, will you? Have a good day, guys.